remember way back when? If there was a $40 thing, I wouldn't have done it. It was like $5. But I do want to see people in here playing it, though. Are you taking it next year?
Yeah, I did.
I don't know whoever started by saying I was sore playing ball. Who was that? That was the person that started this whole thing.
It's crazy. It was probably me who was complaining. I was gonna say.
All right, any questions on the homework before we grade it?
Am I able to use my pass? I still got 2 left.
I have one. Look at my Latin stuff.
No, because it started the quarter.
That doesn't count.
Homework passes end every quarter.
You didn't know.
We can do it again.
He was saving them.
Yeah, he was saving them for this quarter.
All right. Any questions on the homework?
Nobody said.
Now, obviously, all of the answers are graphs. So I can't call out I can call out whether it's dotted or solid, but that doesn't do much. So I will have to look at all your homework. I will collect, make sure you leave all your desks. I'll collect before the end of class. So big picture, for the rest of the chapter, this is what we're doing in different forms or flavors. If you did last night's homework, and you're like, okay, this is pretty easy. There's nothing that's challenging with the rest of the homework. It's going to get really messy starting tomorrow. Today's going to be pretty easy. When you show someone who doesn't know Algebra 1 what you're doing, it looks impressive, but the reality is it's not that big of a deal. Okay? I was looking at next week when we do the PSAT prep. Listen, please. Next week when we do the PSAT prep, I was looking at the practice test, and there's a couple problems on it like this. And the people have no idea what it's about. It looks like it's a really big, complicated thing. In the end, it ends up being it's a pretty simple thing to do. All right, so I will collect that here in just a second. Yeah. What do you need to go to your locker for? Let's wait until the end when I'm done here. So there are some changes. I said this yesterday going on with the 6th, 7th, and 8th grade for their CMAS test. There's no changes for us. We're taking our test on that Tuesday. It's for half a day. Wednesday through Friday of next week, we'll just go over the company that does this, that does the SAT test. It's called the College Board. That's the name of their company. And they put out some practice tests. So we'll just go over the practice tests for those 3 class periods. So you'll get a good feel and flavor of what it will look like. I will send you home on that Friday. That's next Friday, not this Friday. I will send you home on this Friday with a packet that will have practice problems and the answers to it. I am scared to say this publicly in class, but I'm going to say it anyway. You get to make the choice of what you do on the PSAT, not me. Like, I'm not sitting there next to you. I'm not sitting there saying, work harder, do better. I'm going to send you home with a packet, right? If you care about your future, if you care about what you do on the SAT, this is a good chance to practice for it. I'm going to send you with a packet. You should look over it and make an attempt at trying to do it. I'm not going to be home with you. I can't control it. I'm not making it homework. Some teachers are going to have like a Zoom class or something. I'm not putting anything on Teams. This is me, just me, for next week. I'm not putting anything on Teams or anything. I'm sending you home with a packet.
Are we staying home on Wednesday too?
I don't, Wednesday for sure.
So we're staying home on Monday.
The only thing I'm 100% sure of is Monday through Wednesday. The rest of the week, I have been told that Thursday and Friday, yeah, you're coming back to school and we're working. We should get more clarification on Friday. We have a big teacher meeting about what's going on with testing. But for right now, I believe this is the correct schedule.
Why don't we come back? 2 days.
Why come back at all until next year? It's just one more month. If only. If only, right?
It's 2 days. The whole month is different.
So anyway, that's what it looks like. For those of you that really, really, truly are like, okay, I know I'm a freshman in high school, but I know this big test is coming up junior year, And it literally has implications for the rest of your life. If you're not going to college, it doesn't. But if you are going to college, it has implications for the rest of your life. If there is a test, not PSAT, SAT, if there is something that you actually wake up and you say, I got to do something beyond school, beyond what the teacher gives me, it's probably doing better on this test. I'm not saying, sit there for the next 2.5 years in panic mode of like, oh, woe is me type thing. But I'm saying there are things you can do. There are free services where you can study to do better on the test, to get the best score you can. Remember what I said is on the SAT test, they give away, it's called the National Merit Scholarships. They literally, to anyone who takes the test, that would be you, they give away scholarship money, free money for scoring well on the test. Now, we're not talking about you did sort of kind of well. We're talking about you did really well. But if that's something you're interested in, now is the time. And I'm talking about for the next day or week or so. I'm talking about for the next couple of years is when you start prepping for this test. There's books you can buy. There's online resources, all to get better at taking the SAT or the ACT. So yeah, that's about the best of a pitch I can give you for doing well on the PSAT test. One, it allows you to see how well you're going to do on the SAT test, whether or not you need to be, some of you are like, I already know what college I want to go to. I already know the score I need to get. Well, you're going to find out on that PSAT whether you're going to get that score or not, or you have the potential, or you need to be in panic mode about, I better do something different. The scores that you get, they come out pretty quickly. I mean, it's not like within, hit, you turn in the paper and the next day you got your score, but it's within a month or so, you're going to get your score back. You're going to be able to go online and say, with this score, what college could I get into? Literally. Right? It doesn't mean you're going to be accepted to college, but you can at least see, hey, I got a 1200 on the PSAT. What school can I get into? Type thing. And then you'll become more familiar with what these numbers mean and the impact that it will have on you. And it is a large impact. Like I said, I'm just throwing names of colleges out. You may want to go to the University of Colorado because your mom and dad went there, or it's where you've been dreaming of going. And all of a sudden you get a 600 on the PSAT, and the lowest score that they will accept is 1100. I'm making all those numbers up. You're not going to go to the University of Colorado with a 600 SAT score. Is there a school that you can get in with a 600? That's a very low score, by the way. You get two scores. You get one for language arts and one for math. You add them together, that's your total score. And it goes from 0 all the way up to 15 or 1600. I forget which one. And then depending on the better the college, the higher the score you need to get into that college. By the way, that's only to be accepted, right? To be accepted, you need to have a good GPA in high school. That's what you get every time I give you a test, right? It goes on your big score sheet and your overall GPA. It's called your grade point average. That's all of your classes averaged together. That includes PE. You get an A in PE, you get a C in math, your GPA is a B. I mean, that averaged together, an A and a C type thing. So doing well in your electives, doing well in your core classes, right? I'm not going to pay any attention to Latin. That's a dead language. It doesn't mean anything to me. Great. Your GPA is going down, right? So therefore, you're not going to get into that college you think you're getting into because you tanked Latin, right? Tanking one course isn't going to keep you from getting into a college, but tanking multiple courses, and tanking, I mean, like, obviously you can't pass the course with an F. You can pass the course with a D. Whole bunch of classes with D's in it, your GPA just shoots right to the bottom. You're not getting scholarships. You're probably not going to be accepted into the college, all that sort of thing. For those of you like, I'm not going to college. I'm going to the Army. Yesterday, same speech I gave you. Throw myself. I didn't, it was after the Army that I went to college. And all the scores and all the things I did in high school, the college, even though I was 40 years old when I went to college, they went back to high school. I said, well, what'd you do in high school? Luckily, I did well enough, and they're like, okay, you can come to college.
Did you go to college after you were in the?
Yeah. 23 years later, I joined at 18. 23 years later, I went to college.
That's cool.
But they went back to my high school. I mean, I couldn't even tell you my teachers' names 23 years later, that sort of thing. There's very little that I remembered from high school. I didn't take a math course for 23 years. And the first math course I took in college was calculus. Believe you me, I did a little bit of studying on my own before I went to college to make sure that I remembered all the stuff I learned in high school. I literally did. I literally retook on my own. I went on Amazon. I was like, give me an algebra book, give me a geometry book, give me an algebra 2 book, give me a pre-calculus book. And I went through every single book and did every single problem. I'm exaggerating slightly, but I did every single exercise on my own because I was like, well, I got to get ready to go to college. And it's been 23 years since I took a chemistry or a physics course. So the science stuff I didn't do too much on because I remembered a lot of that stuff. But the math stuff, because that was what I wanted my degree in, I had to kind of redo high school again. All right, enough about me. Let's talk about you guys. So I made the statement that I said that if you got last night's homework, the rest is pretty easy. It does get messy. I would highly encourage you from, say, tomorrow's class onward to do it on graph paper because, boy, does it get messy. You can certainly, absolutely 100%, this is what would look like if I did it as well, too. Pretty rough drawn. I mean, basically, remember, all you need is 2 points. Right? But tomorrow's class, we're going to do a system of these. We're going to have 2 lines. There's going to be shading all over the place. It gets really messy. Today's class is pretty easy. Here's your homework. Copy down. Oh, any questions on the homework from last night? I will collect it. Just not right now. Julie, you do your homework?
You should collect it in an essay. Why did you say wit exercise? You said wit and exercise.
Wit and exercise is clearly I left off an R. I've used, this is the 3rd year at this school that I've used these slides, and you're the first person to notice that. Notice what?
Really?
Then it says witten, not written.
Wit and exercise. Wit.
A lot of things that he
Agreed. I appreciate it. Makes my slides look better for the next year. That was me in high school. I paid attention up until the part where I could do my homework, and then I did my homework. All right, here we go. So this is the second part of the same lesson. All we're going to do is the reverse of what we did yesterday. Yesterday, I gave you the inequality. You made the graph. Today, I'm going to reverse.
Give you the graph.
Give you the graph. You are going to write the inequality. That's today's class. Okay. So this was yesterday's class. I gave you in blue here. I gave you the inequality. You followed these 5 steps. You made your graph. Step number 1, you got to get y by itself. If you're lucky, you weren't lucky last night. A couple of them were not. You get the y by itself. Use a little bit of algebra. Once the y by itself, then you treat it as a linear equation, and you graph it the same way. In other words, you graph the y-intercept. The y-intercept is 2. The slope is 3 over 1, so we go up 3 over 1. Technically, how many points do you need?
2.
All you really need is 2. And it doesn't, for this one, for today, 2 is fine. You want to put more, you can, up 3 over 1. You want to go in the other direction, down 3 over 1. Solid or dashed?
That is solid.
Solid. Julie, why is it solid and not dashed? And why is my finger right there? There's a line underneath it. Literally, it's that simple. If there's no line, it's dashed. Now, bigger picture. If it's a dashed line, it means that the line is not the solution. Nowhere on the line is the solution. If it's a solid line, this one is a solid line, that means every point on here, that point makes this true. You take away that, then every point on this does not make it true. Last thing is, notice the line breaks it up into 2 regions, left side, right side, sometimes top, bottom, depending on where the line is. You have to figure out which side to shade. The shaded region represents all the possible solutions. So we pick a test point. Aiden, which test point do we like to pick?
The middle, 0.
0, 0, right? Can we pick 0, 0 on this graph?
In the middle, yeah.
With a graph where we cannot pick 0 is a graph where the line goes through. So we cannot pick 0, 0 if the line goes through 0, 0. It doesn't go through 0, 0. So we like, the reason why we like 0, 0 or 1, 1 or 2, 2 is because you can't mix it up. Even if you put the wrong number in the wrong place, it doesn't matter because both of these are the same numbers. there is a line, and it's the line that goes through 0, 0, 1, 1, 2, 2, and then you can't pick it. And I will show you one like that today. And then you just got to be careful. Okay. So we throw that into this inequality. We see if it makes it true or false. So I take 0, 0, throw it into this inequality, let y be 0, let x be 0. And the reason why we like it is because 3 times 0, it goes away. And you're left with 0 equals that number, or in this case, greater than or equal to that number. Is that a true or false statement? Is that true or false? It's false. So 0, 0 is on the false side. So the side we shade is the other side. Okay. If it was true, then we would shade the side that 0, 0 is on. If it's false, we shade the other side. I can't make it complicated because it's not complicated. However, 24 hours ago, it was complicated because you didn't know what to do. I'd say graph it, you're like, I don't know what to do. Now you do know what to do, and you find out, okay, it's not that. So much of higher level math is like this. It's a seemingly complicated process that after you do it a couple times, you're like, okay, no big deal. I'm teaching pre-calculus next year to the juniors, and I'm putting together a couple of classes to get ahead during spring break, and I'm like, wow, all right, this is going to be complicated for them. And then I'm like, oh, they'll be fine with this. It's not that bad. So much of math is like that. All right, quick reminder. There are 3 basic equations, one for diagonal, one for horizontal, one for vertical. The lines that are diagonal are of the form of y equals mx plus b. The ones that are vertical are the form of x equals a number. I always put k. And horizontal lines are of the form, okay? This is something you got to keep in your mind. By the way, this says all lines except vertical. That means horizontal lines could also be written this way if we put 0 times x. That seems kind of lame. 0 times x would be 0. That's why we choose to write horizontal lines as y equals k. But technically, this is also a horizontal line. We just choose to say horizontal lines are in the form of y equals k, because that's what happens. 0 times x is 0. Y equals b is even better, and it's like, why do mathematicians do this painful? Why do they just say y equals b, and then students would be able to more quickly connect those two concepts. I agree. Okay, vertical lines are x equals k. These are bad because it's not intuitively what you would think. You would think horizontal lines would be x equals and vertical lines would be y equals, and it's the opposite of that. We will need these 3 things for today's class. Okay? All right. So, give you that. Last night you gave me this. If we switched today, I'm going to give you this sucker. You're going to write blue. I'm going to give you this picture. You're going to write blue. How many people got their books open right now? You look at the homework. It's really clear what is the shaded side. My slides are not particularly clear. The shaded side is the red, right? The red is the shaded side tonight for homework. Occasionally, you're going to see it as we get to the next section, 10.8. It ain't clear at all what's shaded. But for tonight, it's very clear what's the shaded side. Okay. I'm going to use, this is a slide I've been using for a while. I'm going to use yellow to represent my shaded side. Okay. It's just a pretty graph, and I like it. Okay. So I'm going to hand you this. You're going to write the inequality. It has steps and I didn't hand out the sheets. It has steps involved. Or hand out the sheets. The steps involved, which will be on the sheet that you're about to get, are as such. Step number 1, you're going to write the base equation. Yeah. Okay. Julie, you paying attention? Okay. Write the base equation. There's 3 base equations. You just saw it the previous slide. Nathan, all diagonal lines are of what form? It was the previous slide.
I didn't see it.
All diagonal lines are of what form?
Okay.
What?
Y equals K.
All diagonal lines are of the form
MX plus B.
y equals mx plus b. All horizontal lines are of the form y equals k. All vertical lines are the form x equals k. So step number 1, when I give you the graph and you write it, is you write the base equation. So you ask yourself, diagonal, vertical, or horizontal? Which one is it? Is it diagonal? Is it vertical? I'm sorry, is it horizontal or is it vertical? Ryan? Rylan? Diagonal, vertical, or horizontal? So which one am I going to use? And this is how I know you're not paying attention. Okay. Go back to the slide right here. If it's diagonal, that's all lines except vertical ones. That's the form. If it's diagonal, this is the form. If it's horizontal, this is the form. If it's vertical, this is the form. Do we need to pause and you write this down? Some of you, yes. Others of you, no. But some of you might want to write that down. This will be step one. You determine if the line is diagonal, if it's horizontal, or if it's vertical. And which one it is which one of these you write down. That's your step one. You got this one, Aiden?
Yeah.
Aiden. Diagonal, vertical, or horizontal? Which one? He can do it. Okay? That's actually the hardest step right there. You pick the right equation to use. Okay. The rest of it is just procedures, right? You got the steps written right there in front of you. Step number 2 says you pick 2 points on the line. Julie, come up here. Pick 2 points.
Does it matter what point?
Hurry up. Doesn't matter which 2 points. Just hurry up. Come on. This is the second hardest step. Believe it or not, is to pick 2 points. Just circle 2 points on the line. Circle 2 points on the line. There's only one line there.
There's one.
What?
The red one. Oh.
The blacks are not lines. Okay, so she picked 2 points, yes? Do you like her points? Did she pick 2 points on the line? She did. Why don't you like her 2 points? Julie, now pay attention. Why don't you like them? They're not lattice points, Julie. You did what I asked. You picked 2 points on the line. Well, where is that point? I don't know, because it's not a lattice point. Remember, a lattice point is a point where these lines come together. So I'm looking for a red line where it intersects, these are blue, where these lines come together. All right, Sierra, pick 2 points. You like hers?
No.
Why not?
No.
Will hers work?
No.
Yes.
No.
These will work. She picked 2 lattice points. I know you guys don't like them, but they will work. All right, who's the smarty pants can tell me the best choice?
I can.
What?
Are you on the actual?
On the
It's
black
like
line.
negative one, one, 0, 1.
This one?
Yes.
And I want the one lower.
No.
That one?
I don't want negative.
Yeah, that one.
How about that one?
No.
Why not that
Yeah,
one?
you don't want
Yes, both
negative.
of them. Both of them.
Ari, why is that a better choice? As soon as you start throwing some negatives, somebody's going to screw it up. When you write this, there's nothing wrong with this point. By the way, it's a perfectly fine point. But if you have a choice, I agree with the fact that you like them closer together because the math will make it be a little bit easier. But absolutely positively, if you are given a choice, make your life easier always. Some of you kind of know, maybe you look at the steps, you're thinking ahead, you're like, I need the Y-intercept next step. So always pick the Y-intercept as one of your points. Always, whether it's positive or negative, because you're going to need it. Okay, so I'm going to pick 2 lattice points, and by the way, it can be any 2. I chose.
I picked those ones.
I agree, but I'm not saying that it's a. I wanted to hear what your thoughts were, and I like what you said, which was I'm going to screw it up if there's some negatives involved. Okay, and it's true. Okay, so we picked our 2 lattice points. We got to do 2 things. We got to calculate the slope and the Y-intercept. Well, the Y-intercept is easy. It's right there. Okay, the Y-intercept is 1. So calculate the slope is the first thing. Calculate the Y-intercept is the second thing. To calculate the slope, remember, I always go from left to right. You can go from right to left. I'm going to go from left to right. So from here, I'm going what? Up or down? Going up, how many squares? 1, 2, and I'm going right 1. Remember, up is positive, right is positive. So I'm going up 2 over 1, so the slope is, you did this 2 chapters ago, slope is 2. Who's lost the one I just did right there? Slope is 2. The y-intercept, well, we just picked it. You told me it's 1. That's easy. So I got a slope of 2. I got a y-intercept of 1. You with me, Julie? Slope of 2, y-intercept of 1. Aiden said to pick this one. We only have 2 letters we need to worry about, M and B. M stands for, nope. M stands for, do you remember? M stands for slope. B stands for y-intercept. You just figured out everything you need to know. M stands for slope.
Why would it be S and Y?
It's German.
That's weird.
Okay.
Slope?
M is slope. B is y-intercept. I just figured it out. M is 2. B is a positive 1. I throw those 2 in there. See what it did?
He's done.
All right. Who's lost? No, we got some more steps. Last 2 chapters ago, we were done right there. It's an inequality, though. That's not inequality. That says equals. Now we got to figure out which inequality it is. Okay? How do we figure out which side to shade last time?
Use here for everything to make it clear.
How did we figure out which side to shade last time?
By picking a point.
We're going to do the same thing. We're going to pick a point in the shaded side. Here's the shaded side. Which point we're going to pick? If you're lucky, guess what's inside the shaded point? 0, 0. If you're not lucky, you got to pick another point. You got to stop me if you're lost. I'm not saying this is hard, but I'm saying stop me if you're like, what is he saying? So we pick a point inside the we're trying to figure out what's the inequality. Greater than, less than, greater than or equal to, less than or equal to. So I pick a point in the shaded region. We like 0, 0, but if the shaded region's over here, 0, 0 is not there. I got to pick another point. -4, 4 or something, right? But luckily for us, 0, 0 is there. So I'm going to pick that point in the shaded region, 0, 0. I'm going to throw that in this equation. 0, 0. We like this one because you can't screw it up, right? If it's not 0, like if it was 4, 2, 4, 2, you can screw those numbers up. Yeah. You don't. We could have picked 1, 1. Anything in the shaded. Why do we like 0, 0? Because it makes the math really easy. 2 times 0. That's why. Okay. So we throw that in there and we get what? We get 0 is equal to 1, which is clearly false. Why? Because it's an inequality, not an equation. So now we got to pick the right inequality that makes this true. Because remember, 0, 0 is true. Stay with me. What 2 inequalities would make that true? There's 2 of them. What 2 inequalities would make that true? Less than or equal to or less than, right? These 2 symbols right here would make it true. You hear what Rowan just said? The line is what? So therefore, it's got to be, that's the whole process. Yeah, it's not 6th and 7th grade math here, but it's not that bad if you paid attention. Half of you already figured it out before I got to the end. Okay? The rest of the class is us just doing this example after example. If you're one of those kids, you're like, you get to test day, you're like, I don't know why I don't get any of this stuff. It's because right now you're not paying attention. The people that are paying attention are like, okay, this is easy. Pay attention. Trust me, this will be easy. All right. Let's do one together. Box number 1. Box number 1.
It's not.
Agreed. So we'll have to pick something else.
It doesn't have a line.
Okay. Step number 1. Is it horizontal, vertical, or diagonal? So which equation am I going to use? So I'm not going to use this. I'm not going to use horizontal. I'm not going to use vertical. I'm going to use that sucker. That's easy to forget. Like, how do you start this? Well, test day, you have one of these written on your resource card, and you can refer back to it. And now you stop me if you're lost. Step number 2, we pick 2 points. Y-intercept better be one of them. Next one. What do you want? Up or below? Up. All right, we're going to pick this one. Okay. Is those the 2 points I picked? Nope, but good enough. Using the 2 you just picked, what's the slope?
Up one.
Up 1, and then, so that gives you a slope of 1. Notice I didn't choose that, but I go up 3 over 3. That still gives me a slope of 1. Doesn't matter. I went up 2 over 1. Sorry. Doesn't matter which 2 points you pick. You will get the same slope because remember it's a straight line. The slope doesn't change. Stop me if you're lost. What's the y-intercept? Okay. Nathan, what's the equation? This is your m. This is your y-intercept.
So the y, alright, my bad. Y equals 2 over 2.
2 over 2 reduces to 1.
Okay, so 1.
Keep talking.
X plus b, that 1. -1.
So say it one more time.
Yeah. Y equals 1 x plus -1.
Is there an easier way to write that? He said it right, by the way. What's the easier way of writing that? What's an easier way of writing that?
Y equals X minus
Nothing. Both of you guys said the right answer. There's an easier way of writing it. Nathan, you get a y. I didn't put a 1 there.
Okay, so
1 times x is x, right? Plus minus 1 is minus 1. Yes, you got that look. All I did was take these 2 numbers and put them right there. What do you have? Yeah, but 2 over 2 is the number 1. 2 divided by 2 is 1. Anybody else? By the way, this is up to this. This is it. The rest is pretty simple. Test point. We got to pick somewhere in the red. Test point.
like 1,
5, 5 is right here, not in the red.
-1, 1.
-1, 1 is not in the red. 1, -1 is right here in the red.
That's what I meant.
Okay. There's an issue with this one because we can't use our friendliest numbers. What did I pick? I picked 2, -2. So no different than 1, -1, right? It's somewhere in the red. The issue is one's positive, one's negative. I can screw this up. If you're going to mess something up, it's probably right here. Remember, it doesn't go yx, it goes xy. Our equation does go yx. So you can mess this up if you're not careful. Everybody understand why I mean you can mess this one up? Okay, so what's the equation say once these numbers are plugged in? Plug those numbers in. What does it say now?
-2 equals -2.
No.
What's the next?
-2 equals 2 minus 1.
How does this work?
There's your x. Your x is 2.
Oh, I didn't.
See how easy that was to screw it up? We even did it slow there.
I'm my favorite.
What is 2 minus 1? So there's our equation that we need to make true. Why do we need to make it true? Because we're in the true area. Okay, so what inequality makes that true? There's 2 of them. What inequality would make that true? Where's the opening go? Is this big or is this small over here? It needs to go that way, right? So the 2 that would make it true are those 2. Which one is it?
The one on the left.
Because it's a dotted line. Yes. Remember, the opening faces the biggest number.
Yeah, the ALG.
2, -2 is smaller than 1.
Small side.
So the opening goes to the bigger number. The bigger number here is 1. I plug it into right here. Right here. Once I figure out which one it is, then yes, we plug it into, where's the equation? Right here. For that symbol right there. Because remember, this was what we got that line to be. This dotted red line right here is y equals x minus 1. Okay. Anybody feeling panicky? Those that are paying attention?
I got
You're
it.
doing fine.
Just split the number
It's
two.
easy, just you mess it up.
There's lots of places you can mess this up. Overall, it's not like in the level of stuff that we've done in the past. This is easier,
Skip to the word problem.
right? If we have time, we'll get to the word problem. We might not have time.
Are they on the homework?
Did I
You
sign
said
in?
no. You said no.
I didn't assign any of the word
I
problems.
know.
All right, here we go. Next box, box number 2. We're only doing 3 of these, by the way. Hey, diagonal, horizontal, vertical. So what's the equation we're going to use? We're going to use y equals mx plus b, okay? I know. Okay, step number 2, pick 2 points. One of them is going to be the y-intercept. The other one's going to be where? What do you want to pick? Right here? So what's the slope?
Up 1 over 2.
Up 1 over 2, it's a half.
Why?
So up 1 over 2. Some people at this point are like, how about if I write instead of slope, the word m? M equals a half. And then maybe you have less chance of forgetting where to
B
put
is
it.
the y-intercept, right?
What's the y-intercept?
Is B the y-intercept?
It is. So some people will write b equals 3. Okay? You're not going to see that in the book. They're still going to use the word slope, and they're going to say the word y-intercept. But I understand why it makes more sense to write m and b. Yeah. Remember, b is literally called the y-intercept. Where does the line cross the y-axis? Right smack there. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so what's the equation? What's the equation?
Y equals 1/2 x plus 3.
Nice job, Ron. Okay. Test point. Where's our test point? It's got to be in the red.
1/4. Oh,
1, 4 is right here. You could use that
can you use 1/3? Can you use that's on
right here. Where it's called the y. B is the y-intercept. Where does the line go through the y-axis? Right smack there.
0/4.
1, 2, 3.
Oh, I was thinking like I was thinking negative.
For me, not that 1, 4 is a bad choice. For me, I'm going to pick the smallest numbers I can that are both positive,
0/4.
and hopefully one of them is a 0. So 0, 4 would be a good choice. But
0, 3.
I mean, there literally isn't a bad choice in the sense of getting a wrong answer. There's just what makes my life easiest. You don't have to overthink this and say, well, I got to take a minute to think about what's the best number. Just pick one. So what are we going with? 1, 4 or 0, 4?
Why can't we use 0, 3?
0, 3 is on the line. Remember, we never pick a point that's on the line.
Oh, okay, then 0.
So 0, 4, Rylan says, let's pick 0, 4. There's a test point. So 0, 4. Now be careful. Remember, it goes x comma y. Why did I write 0, 4 goes x comma y. So x is 0. We like that because it just got rid of our fraction. A half times 0 is, see how nice that was? That's why we would like to pick a 0. So we get y is equal to
7.
3.
Why is 4
That's a 4.
equal to 3?
4 equals 3. The sign is greater than or equal to.
4, that's the y,
Oh,
is equal to 3.
Greater than
Well,
or
yeah,
equal
if
to.
you're adding.
So what's the sign I really need to use?
Greater than or less.
Okay, and it's a solid line, so we need to use that. That symbol now goes right smack there, and a nice pretty answer. There you go. Questions? Chris, you said nothing the entire class. I don't get a sense if you got this or not.
Wait.
Still alive.
Yes or no? Yeah.
Why is it greater than? Is that greater than or less than sign?
The sign itself, if you just talk about the sign, that's greater than or equal to.
Why is it equal to? It's 4 and 3.
Because you said yourself it's a solid line.
Oh, I'm serious.
Well, not always.
Those aren't equal.
Agreed. Yeah.
So if both of them are equal, does it matter?
Would it ever be equal? Good question.
No.
It could be, depending upon your test point.
And if it is,
Well, it would, so I would pick a different test point. And as I think this through, the only way that would happen if we picked 0, 3. And by the way, we weren't supposed to pick anything that was on the line. Okay, we got one more left. And I'm going to say when I started the class, which is higher level math is just about paying attention, understanding what's going on. Eventually you get to, okay, this makes sense. I'm never going to claim that you're going to remember this a year from now. You won't, because we'll be in geometry. I'll have to remind you of this. All right, say, when you take this again in Algebra 2, you'll have to be reminded. You're like, oh, that's right, we did that in Mr. C's class. I've completely forgotten what to do. I'm not saying it's memorable. It certainly will be when we get to the chapter test, because we'll practice it again. But I do want to point out that challenging math is only challenging if you don't pay attention. You don't pay attention, yeah, it's a bunch of mess on the board. You pay attention and you put some effort, you will get to where it's easy. Trust me. We're only doing high school math. We're not doing crazy stuff. It's just high school math. All of you are capable of doing this if you choose to pay attention. By the way, I said choose to pay attention. All right, last one. Oh, we got, what color is this?
A horizontal.
Purple.
Perfect.
Purple.
And that's not a horizontal line, that's a
Vertical.
How did you not
That's what I meant to say. That's what I meant to
color
say.
line. It looks blue to me.
Are you really?
I know it's not blue because every time I say blue, somebody corrects me. Yeah.
Is the left side less than because it's not?
Hold on. You're trying to jump ahead.
What color do you see in the top corner?
I can tell that these are not literally the same color, but it looks blue to me, right? Like if you were to tell me that one of these is blue and one of these is purple, I would not know which one to pick.
Mr. Chartier, what shirt color shirt am I wearing?
A darker shade of these.
Oh, I'm wearing a dark
Right.
blue.
Navy blue.
I mean, you can see that it's darker.
Then how do you pick out your ties? in the
I
left?
don't.
Your wife
Wait, are
does.
you colorblind?
I only buy blue ties
How do you know they're blue?
because I go up to the lady and I say, "Lady, is this a blue tie?" And she says a purple. I nope, I don't want that one. I said, "Give me a blue tie." And that way I can't screw it up. Blue will go with blue, red will go with anything. A white shirt will go with any color. And that's why I only buy white shirts, dark pants, and leave it at that.
Are you blue-red colorblind?
I don't know the actual what it's called, but yeah, blue are the things that give me the most problems. Because I'll say something like, look at that blue car. My wife will say, that's purple, or whatever color it is.
Green.
No, I don't mess up greens. All right, here we go. Hey, is this the right base equation?
No.
Is not the right equation. Why? Because it's a vertical. Remember, all vertical lines will form x equals k. We just got to figure, watch how easy this one is. We just got to figure out what that question mark is. And Ari's already got to figure it out. Notice that any point along this line has an x value of 2. That's how easy vertical and horizontal lines are.
Then let's do 3.
Well, then they would be right here.
Yeah.
Okay. So clearly it's x equals 2. One of these girls up here already figured out, or no, it was Hannah, already figured out the inequality without even picking a test point. Why?
Because I haven't been doing this twice.
If this is the line and it's vertical, what are all the numbers over here? Bigger or smaller?
Bigger.
You already know the inequality. Yes, you can still pick a test point. So let's see, 5, 5 is a test point. I don't have to, but
3.
we could pick 3, 3 if we wanted to. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So we pick 3, 3. We throw 3 in for x. Is that the point I picked? No, I picked that point. We throw this number in for x, and we make it true, but we kind of already figured out what it was going to be because all the shading is on this side, and those are the numbers that are bigger than 2. Solid, we're not going to do the word problem. So I don't. The honors class gets that one. The non-honors class doesn't get the word problem. Solid or dashed,
Dashed.
and we know that it was bigger, so therefore it's got to be
X is greater than 2.
x is greater than 2. You're done. Questions? All of these are literally, hopefully, for those of you who are paying attention, realize the fact that these are not hard at all. These will take you all of 5 minutes, maybe 10 minutes at the most to get your homework done. It's not that big of a deal. 3 minutes is probably a bit too much, or not enough. 2 of these are horizontal or vertical, the rest are all diagonal. Any questions on anything I did? All right, that's it. Haley, any questions? Are you online? Sometimes she's on, but nope, she's not on today. All right, Haley, if you do have any questions, ask me in chat.
Do you need the homework?
I do. Go around, collect the homework, and put yours in there right now. No, in the back.
But I need to grade them.
I grade them at lunch, which is the very next thing I do.
Okay. Better.
It's important.
I know it. I got it.